Answers are cheap, right? We can just say, hey Google, how far is Timbuktu from Kathmandu?
Timbuktu is 8,985 kilometers from Kathmandu as the crow flies.
We just killed curiosity in that moment, right? So answers are cheap. Assumptions are really dangerous, right? There was a time where somebody reached out to see if I was available to speak at an event, and they shared the acronym of their conference, and I looked it up, and it looked like it was going to be a bunch of FBI agents all gathered in the same place. It turns out that was a different conference, and they had the same acronym as one, and I made the assumption. So I hopped on this call, and I did my homework beforehand, and we're chatting, and it's like 10 minutes into the conversation, I'm like, I did not expect this from you. Turns out it was an education conference. Very different lens, very different framing. The entire premise of my work and my late co-author's work around asking powerful questions, when we ask powerful questions, we have the ability to increase the psychological safety that exists in an organization, which research would say is actually the #1 predictor of high-performing teams. I would also say that fear is the enemy of curiosity, right? So if you want an engaged organization where people are curious and taking initiative and accountability for what they want, you don't want a lot of fear. And when we foster and encourage and build curiosity, it actually roots out fear. When a group really understands deeply and is practicing asking really great, powerful questions, it creates a learning organization. And a learning organization is one that doesn't die. The moment that you or your organization stops learning is the moment that you start dying. Creating a culture where people are asking powerful questions and creating conversations that matter also actually fundamentally increases retention. I was actually working with a group of 25 CEOs once in a workshop in Philadelphia, all of the same size company. And they didn't know this, but I went and printed off hundreds of their reviews off of Glassdoor, right? The site that people go to when they rage quit and type in all caps about how terrible your organization is or how great it is or whatever else. I had hundreds of these reviews printed off, and for the workshop, I anonymized them so nobody knew whose company they were talking about. And I cut these out and I had them placed on tables all around the room. And their first task when they walked in the room was, hey everybody, I've printed out all of your Glassdoor reviews. Your goal is to sort these reviews into buckets and chunks to try to figure out, why do people stay at your organizations and why do people leave? And one of the things that was even surprising to me that they found is that 9 out of 10 reviews had the word listen in them or a synonym for it. So the model from our book, Ask Powerful Questions, is designed to create this, right? To create an organization where people are willing to know each other, they see each other, hear each other, they really get each other, they're ultimately with each other, both from an internal perspective and from a customer client-facing perspective. Now the problem is, if we had a magic wand, we would just wave it and then we'd create that. The problem is that magic wand doesn't exist, which is why Will and I spent some time thinking about how to create it. And so the flip side of this pyramid is a series of skills, tools, and mindsets to help you foster a culture that looks like this. And when you have a culture like that and people are asking questions that are rooted in empathy and rooted in their own curiosity, it also tends to reduce implicit bias and prejudice in an organization. So we have this desire to create more inclusive cultures where people feel a sense of belonging. And those are really good words, but as far as implementing them, we need practical skills and tools to be able to practice that in all the small moments of a 40-hour plus work week. I was talking with a neuroscientist recently, Dr. Eve Miller, and she was saying and echoing and reminding me that how much our brains are actually wired. Our amygdala, right, the part that fight or flight, is wired for belong, wired for connection. I think instead of a fight, flight, or freeze method, our brains have actually adapted now in a modern era for a fight, flight, or a need to be liked, or a need to be right in this culture. To make a long story longer, I typically work with organizations in 3 different levels of how to ask powerful questions. From coming in and doing a kickoff keynote and really infusing this culture, giving everybody an experience, and then following up with a guided journal, materials, etc. Or where we do a little bit more of a deep dive, where I come, do a kickoff, create an experience in all of this, but then remotely or in person, we have follow-ups diving deeper into each one of these skills, practicing that so that the moment they leave my session, they're actually using the tools and the language that we experienced in their next meeting, in their next one-to-one, etc. And then the third level that I tend to work with people at is on a deeper, ongoing context where we create a series of smaller group coaching labs where we download all of this content, experience all this content, practice it, come back every so often to offset the curve of forgetfulness and talk about, okay, how is this really looking in your organization? If this sounds interesting, you want to bring some fun and positive and really practical professional development to your own organization, school, university, or event, reach out. I would love to help convert some of the exclamation points and sentences that end in periods to sentences that end in question marks in your organization. Have an awesome day.